Welcome to Heavenly Faith Studios, where conservative values meet unwavering faith, delving into the intersection of religion, politics, and trending topics. We embark on a journey to explore the harmony between traditional Christian principles and the ever-evolving world around us. From thought-provoking discussions on faith-centered perspectives in today's political landscape to insightful reviews of today's trending videos, all through a conservative lens. This channel aims to illuminate the guiding principles of Christianity while engaging with the pulse of contemporary issues. Join us as we navigate the currents of belief, analyze the unfolding societal dialogues, offer a steadfast view rooted in faith and conservatism. Welcome aboard as we embark on an enriching exploration of faith, politics, and cultural phenomena. I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, make sure you drop a like, comment down below, and make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. God bless.
Of where we've been. Is there a matrix or is there just laziness?
I don't think there's necessarily a matrix, but then you have to look yourself and ask the question. If a government's going to come along and say to a social media company, your social media product is designed to get people addicted, and as a responsible company, not responsible, competitive company, you're developing your product to be as ruthless as possible, because that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But we don't want you to say X, Y, and Z. You're not allowed to promote racism. You're not allowed to promote hate speech. You're not allowed to promote misogyny. We do want you to promote transgender ideals. We do want you to promote gender fluidity. We do want you to promote whatever else. Why? Because they are using these machines to promote garbage. Why don't they use it to promote anything constructive?
So check this out. We're in the land of the free. You don't agree with this.
Of course not.
But let's debate about this. Yeah. Is it free, so free, that it's giving the will to anybody to do what they want, and this is what the mass wants to do with it?
First things first, no country on earth is free. Not one. Next, which country has the most people in prison currently?
America.
Which country has the highest percentage of its population in prison in history?
America.
Which country has the most laws?
I don't know that one.
America. So when you talk about the land of the free, what they're actually saying is, we've built a society based on freedom. Of course there is no freedom, because true freedom is anarchy. So I'm not even advocating for it.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think it turned that way because of that?
No. But here's the psyop.
Yeah.
Every single country has its own version of their restrictions and rules. When I go to the UAE, I feel very free because I can say anything I want. I don't want to say the things that would land me in jail. If I insulted Islam or insulted the leaders of Dubai, I'd go to jail. In America, if you go to America and you talk pro-LGBT, pro-agenda, pro-democrat, pro all these things, set of rules of what you're allowed to say. So what we have, please let me make this point pertinently clear. Your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. When nobody listens to you, you can say what you want. If you get a platform and start talking, you will learn very quickly how you're not allowed to say what you want because people are listening.
It is crazy the points that this man's making, though. How you technically not free? I mean, I watch videos of conservatives all day long of how they get canceled and put in their place for anything, religious speakers, the FBI raiding religious people's homes. It is ridiculous. He's very right. If you're abiding by their laws or you think that their laws are the way of life, you'll never bump heads. You'll never feel that friction or that. You'll never notice you're not free until you have a belief that's against the governing powers' opinions. Crazy.
Is a society which is only linked and only bound by this false idea of freedom.
When a house is divided, it falls.
Yeah, house is divided, it falls. Nothing unifies America besides the illusion of freedom. So, when you have the most controlled nation on earth with the most laws and the most people in jail, and the only thing that's preventing...
And nobody thinks about that. It's literally to see why someone is hated so much or why someone is being persecuted so much, because the fact that they're a loud voice that makes sense. So many people are confused and manipulated by what they watch, by what they see, by what they're taught. And I mean, if you continue to on a daily basis tell somebody this is why this is the way that it is, they're going to believe it. It's just how it's going to be. Just like with my children, I can tell my children, no, it's bad to yell at your mother 24/7, and they're going to grow up knowing that it's bad to yell at their mother. Have respect. So I feel like it's the same thing. It's everywhere in life, everyone is told what's okay and they're following it. And when you have a voice as popular as Andrew Tate's voice that raises the question to a lot of men and in general, a lot of people that everyone's being controlled and manipulated to be a certain way. Let's break free from that. Let's prepare for what's coming. Of course, they're going to try to cancel them and shut them down. Of course. Why wouldn't they?
Absolute anarchy and unify.
Now, do I agree with everything? No, I don't agree with everything he says. I don't even agree with everything that George says. I'm a fellow Christian myself, trying to get closer to God, and I don't appreciate the fact that his verbiage is so gross. He swears up a storm. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between him and another person that lives for this world. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference on that. That's something that I myself am trying to. I'm a firm believer that if you're going to preach the word of God and try to bring people closer to God, that you should be an example that when people see you, they should see God through you. You know what I mean? So do I believe that George Janko is a vessel for Christ? Of course I do. Do I believe that God's using him? Of course I do. I think that the whole altercation with him and Logan Paul and where he is now, that these are blessings from God, and God wants to use him to bring people closer to him, to have the topic to talk to people like Andrew Tate and all these other super big social media influencers or whoever it is that comes on his podcast. Somehow he talks and he brings up Christ, and I think that's a big move. That's a big move from God. God's moving. He's literally moving every which way he can. So I'm not saying he's not a believer. I just don't agree with the way that he speaks, you know? And I'm just putting that out there to say, like, I don't agree with Andrew Tate about everything. I don't agree with George about everything. But a lot of what Andrew says is so correct. It's you watch these snippets and these shorts about him. I've never sat down and listened to an entire video of his. But he's just like Trump. You're a great man and you're fit for the job. You're fit for the job, but your mouth gets you in trouble. You know what I mean? And that's how I feel like Andrew is. And that's why he takes the heat he does. But deep down, you get past the verbiage. Very intellectual man.
The people is the illusion of freedom. How do you do that? What you do is you make sure that nobody's free to do anything important, like speak about important issues, but you allow people to be free to do dumb shit. So you allow them to be as free as they want to chop their dick off, change their name, change their pronouns, and be clowns. So then you could say, well, we're a free nation. Look how stupid this idiot gets to act. And you sit and say, well, I don't want to do that. I want to talk about the educational system, and I have a large podcast and everyone's listening to me. Delete him, ban him. Other nations don't do that. Saudi Arabia will not say, we are a free country. They will say, we are God-fearing. We're an Islamic country. We don't care about freedom. We care about worshiping God and living true to God. Now, I actually, as a person, like the rules I understand. Even if I were to play a game I don't particularly like, right? Even though I was in a situation.
I know what he's going to say here, and he's probably going to take a lot of heat for it. He's going to say how, I'm sure somehow that he prefers the way that Islam conducts themselves according to the USA conducting themselves, which makes a lot of sense. I would never want to be in a country where a woman can't drive if they're still doing that, or a woman doesn't have a voice. I don't believe in that. I do believe that the man is the head of his household, especially if you're going to be a God-fearing individual, a God-following individual. I think that's a big reason why people have so many issues in countries like ours in the United States, why households are broken, why children are raised like crap. It's all because the man holds no weight in his household. I personally know people who the husband has no say and the women just control the household. Their children are a mess. Their work is a mess. Their household's a mess. They're never happy. Depression, anxiety, stress, just everything follows it because God made man, and from man he made woman. So he called her woman. She's for men. Doesn't mean that she's any less than a man. I mean, following that statement, he says to treat her like a vessel, treat her like God treats the church. You know what I mean? And a lot of us fell on that. I fell on that myself. Anytime I get an altercation with my wife, I'm failing that. To egg on the argument, and you fail that. But going back to his statement and what I know his statement is going to be, if you were to remove the extremist view that Saudi Arabia takes or any Eastern country takes, because they follow the old law of Moses. Let's just put it that way. They follow the old law of Moses. They don't follow the New Testament, Jesus. This is where the religions break up. Okay, so an Arabic individual or someone that praises, I had a brain fart of what the religion is. This is where they believe the Quran and all that. This is where religions separate. Okay, we as Christians believe that after the Old Testament, Jesus was born of a virgin. It's God in the flesh. Jesus is God. They believe that Jesus was just another prophet. Okay. So at the end of the day, they don't believe in the New Testament. They don't live according to Jesus's commandments. Okay. So if they were to live under Jesus' commandments, they would semi-live like us, where our women still have rights. They still have a voice. There's just certain things. You're not the head of the household. You're not supposed to stand up in front of a church and preach. I mean, it's just these simple, small things that I don't feel are a big deal. But we turn them into a big deal because just like Andrew Tate said, you're allowed to chop your junk off, but you're not allowed to stand up for school, for your kids to not be taught certain things in school. You see what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and see if we're right. And if Andrew does comment on his preferred way that Saudi Arabia would be to North America.
Even if I don't like the rules of life, let's say you made me move to some random country, Kuala Lumpur. I don't know the rules of Kuala Lumpur, but I have to move there.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, but I have to move there, and you give me the set of rules, and I read them. I'll respect that. What I don't respect is going to a country and reading the rules. First Amendment, freedom. I'm like, oh, cool. And then they get you.
It's a mirage.
It's a mirage. So at least in other nations, you know the rules. You wouldn't go to Moscow walking around with a "fuck Putin" t-shirt.
No. No, what?
See, you know the rules.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest illusion that's going on. So when you're talking about we have so much freedom, absolutely and utterly not, sir. I'll disagree with you on that point. There's no freedom at all. In fact, there's less freedom there is in other places, and you don't even know what.
And that's 100%. So I hate to keep pausing the video, but you guys know how it is. I mean, it's going to be a big video. It's going to be you're going to have to stop it and talk, or you're going to get flagged. So let's say the town that I live in, for example. I mean, I live in the United States of America. We know that if you look at back in the day, what's the American dream for a man is to own his home, raise his kids, to enjoy working on cars and doing certain things. You guys know that in my neighborhood, there's ordinances where you can't have a vehicle outside. If you're working on it, you're not allowed to work on your vehicle outside. You're not allowed to have a kiddie pool outside in your front yard. What if I don't want my kids in the backyard? What if I got people over, we all want to hang out on the deck, on the front deck, and chill? You can't have that. You can't have a grill. You can't have a basketball hoop. Like, what? Let's put aside the fact that if it's not coming straight from the government, now you're giving this control to every state. So every state is like its own government, and they're building these ordinances that are removing your freedoms day by day by day. But yet we live in the freest country. Freest country to me when I was growing up, what my American dream was to find the right girl to settle down with, to get the house with the white picket fence, to be outside with your little grease rag in your back pocket while you're working on something that you enjoy. You have a boy, he starts growing, you're building cars with him, so an old school vehicle with him, because that's what the American dream was. And now, what's the American dream? To get your junk chopped off and go urinate in a woman's bathroom. Lord be with us all.
What you're free to do anymore. Depending, you can riot if you're BLM, but if you're the Republicans and you riot, ooh, jail.
Yep.
Well, I thought we could peacefully demonstrate. I thought we could demonstrate. I thought we could protest. It's a democratic country, right? No, you can't protest anymore. This is the thing that's so interesting when you start to analyze people who are atheistic and go, God's stupid. You don't need God. They're not even smart enough to look at the big picture and realize without God, there's nothing.
Yeah.
You have nothing but anarchy and chaos. And I tell you, when 10 armed men turn up at your house and start raping your wife and putting a gun to your head, you'll wish God was there. You'll be praying then, Mr. Atheist, Mr. fucking tough guy. Then you'll start talking about God. And it could have been prevented in the first place.
It's so funny that the people that don't believe in God that when something happens, oh my God, please let me be okay. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, that. It's all that they can breathe out is proclaiming the name, the being, and they do it so subconsciously, but yet I love the example he makes. If 10 people run into your home and you're on the couch and they're holding you down and they have your wife on the carpet on the ground defiling her in every which way possible, and there's nothing you can do, who are you begging to? Were you sitting there wishing that and talking to him? No, no, no. Who? You're going to wish the Lord was sitting right next to you to defend you in your home. But when everything's peachy and you think that life's great, he doesn't exist. How we do that so often. That hits home. Because I do that all the time. If I'm in a sticky situation, I'm, God, please get me out of the situation. If I'm feeling sick, if I'm in the hospital, if anything's going on, if I'm worried about something with my health or worried about something at work or worried about something legally, it's always Lord, Lord, Lord. And when he saves me from it, what, a week later, it's not that you forget about him. It's just that you make him a little bit less important for that entire week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long, excuse me, this stressful situation is going on. He's the one that you're calling out and reaching out to. And the second that he blesses you with the outcome that you wanted, boom. You can go days, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days without calling his name. It's harsh reality, man. It's a harsh reality.
Atheists like you talking godlessly. That's what these clowns don't even understand. Without God, there's nothing. It's all a joke.
It's perfect that you say that, because every man knows God when he's at his lowest place.
Oh, they were praying on that submarine.
and the fact that they can laugh, like so many people got triggered by this.
Woo! They got the candles out. They had the little picture of Jesus. It's like, who's got a picture of Jesus? You still got a picture of Jesus? Ah, shit.
Oh my God, that was so.
Pulled one up on the mobile device. You know what I mean?
You catch me with the left, bro. You catch me sometimes.
They were praying, sir.
That's part. I think wisdom truly starts and finishes with the fear of God.
Absolutely.
Same way if you have a fear of your father. You respect your father, right?
Absolutely.
You fear of disappointing your father.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to cut this off, but I'm over here reading as I'm listening. I'm trying to get some verses lined up that have to do with a nation away from God. And as I'm reading this, it just hits home. It just hits home for the time that we're living in at the moment. And I want to share this with you guys. Just because it reminds me of the time that we're living in now. And it's Revelations 21:8. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. It's crazy to me to think that at a time so long ago, if this isn't an inspiration or it being inspired by Christ himself, God himself, where does it come from? How did they know that you would still be this detestable? You would think that even if it was at a point that bad, because we're all just cavemen and this is what life led to, you would think that as science is here and we learn more and we know more, that people would mellow out more. If it really was the way that they say it is, that there's no God and it's just us and we would evolve to a very peaceful race. Because what do we get from this evil? We get nothing from it. Okay, so we would be loving, kind, and we would grow that because we know that we have to get along. We accomplish a lot more as a team together instead of being so far apart from one another. And we don't, though. That's not where we're at. We're getting worse by the day. Okay, and I just wanted to put that in there of how this hits, because this is like he's warning you against what we're living now in Revelations. Okay. Romans 1:18, verse 32. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. Okay? Just listen to that. Who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. So they are without excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they become fools. What? Who can read this and say God's not real? Who can read this and say somebody knows something that we don't know? Because again, if evolution was true and you think that this is just out of nothing, by this point, after world wars and everything else, we would have learned to live with one another. Life would be better. We'd be wiser. Okay? We're not wiser. We become fools even more as the day passes. We become fools even more as the day passes. That's insane to me. How people are like, oh, you just see this. This is not what it is. You just see it. How do we just see it? How do we just see it? It's crazy to me.
No, and it's so important what you've just said, because it's so profound and people at home need to understand it. All humans are meant to worship, and this is true. The godless, atheistic, left-wing psychos worship the pride flag and abortion. Watch them. Look at them. They worship it. They go, they turn up, they scream its name, they try and promote it, they worship it.
100%.
Or you have famous men who will worship fame, or worship their girlfriend, worship their wife.
100%, because what do? We again, not myself, because I'm just trying to get closer to God myself right now, but I've been to church. When I grew up, I was going to church 3 days a week with my family. We weren't Pentecostal, but my mother went to a Pentecostal church because it was the closest, but they spoke Spanish. So 3 days a week we're at church. You go there and people are worshiping, they're singing, they're yelling, speaking in tongues. Everyone is there to worship a certain name, a certain something. You go to these abortion rallies that you watch on YouTube all the time. What are they doing? They're screaming, they're yelling, they're singing, they're worshiping something, death, evil. They're so right about this. It's crazy to me that whoever sees this stuff and thinks that these people are insane or just far right-wing extremists are so freaking insane.
If you believe in God, you're not going to worship your wife. You're going to respect your wife. You're going to do your very best to do good by her. But you worship God. You're not going to allow a woman to trounce all over you. You're like, no, sorry, we live godless. We live within certain boundaries within this house, and we're a religious household, and you're not going to do that. Otherwise, we're not going to be together anymore. This is how it works. We're a religious household.
Correct.
But everybody worships something.
Yeah.
By talking about being an atheist, you think you're just showing the world how smart you are and that nothing's above you, but it's absolutely not the opposite. Now you're showing that dumb shit's above you. You're worshiping fame, you're worshiping clicks, likes, money, some other person, some human. It's garbage.
It's crazy to me that, I talk about OnlyFans girls, and
here's my other thing is that I understand that because George is religious, they're having a lot of religious conversations, but it's not just George, man. It's the Joe Rogan podcast. It's anywhere. What does God say? Okay, that at the end of times, they will all be proclaiming his name. He's going to be the main topic in every mouth. And it's just been nonstop. I feel like it's been nonstop. Who's the Puerto Rican rapper in his concert giving his life to Christ? Tyrese from the Fast and the Furious giving his life to Christ. It just doesn't seem to stop lately. It's been nonstop lately. And I don't know where it's coming from. And if you read scripture, though, it's all laid out in front of you. It's scary to think about, to be honest with you. It's scary to think about.
everything starts in the home.
Yep.
And if you notice, 90 or so crazy percent of people that are in prison, they don't have a father.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of situations that stem from not having a good example in your life.
Agreed.
So let's circle back to the home, right? We can't control the government. We can't control the matrix. We can't control the schools.
Yeah.
But we can control what goes inside and outside of this home.
Yep.
And that's what I was speaking about. It's the way that it has to go. There's no other way around it. I mean, I would love to say that if you have the same authority in a household, everything's gonna be fine, but it's not. It's just not. you know, there's some things in life that just are not going to be fair. And unfortunately, that's one of them. And people hate it. People can't stand it. Um, but again, the more they try to manipulate it and change it, it's just not going to end good for anyone. They can't allow things to be in God's order. It's not going to end right. Just going to go ahead and take that off.
Of a strong house.
Well, it's got to be the man. Okay. But it's the family unit. Men and women are different, and they're supposed to work together and do different roles to come together and combine and become the most powerful force. If you destroy the roles, if they no longer combine, if they no longer fit together, everything's broken, which is what's happened in the West now.
I actually find it fascinating.
And that's why I'm called a misogynist, by the way. I'm called a misogynist for saying there should be a man of the house.
Listen, not only this is this is going to be such a great point, and I hope people pay attention. It's they play the game so wonderfully. These evil bastards, they just play it so well. So they're going to try to make the enemy the man that wants to protect you, keep you from making mistakes you shouldn't be making. I understand at some things you have to learn your own mistake, like make your own mistakes and learn on your own. But I watched an interview with him where he's saying, like, if you don't want your girl to walk around at 2 a.m., you should have that authority to, in a way, control her until you're not going out at 2 a.m., So they turn it around because it's the good guy versus the bad guy, right? The bad guy's the sleazy guy that just wants to sleep with every woman. The good guy's the one that wants to actually be with you, protect you, and hold you down, okay? So what's happening here is the sleazy bastard has convinced you that the good guy is actually the sleazy one, not in for what's best for you. He's there to please himself while he tries to sneak in there and somehow mind manipulate you into being with him so that he can get what he wants from you. And that's what they've done with society. Women are nothing but a sex object now. You see what I mean? So the sleazy ones have convinced you that you don't need a relationship. You don't need this guy holding you down. You don't need to be this person. And for what? So that they can live out their sexual immorality. That's all it is. And they're doing a bang up job. And at the same time, now they're getting guys to become chicks so that the men are manly, because if we're all manly together, we have a better chance of allowing society to continue to grow and to come to God. But instead, if you can manipulate men, you destroy the entire world. It's crazy how smart they've been. And God says himself, says to be weary of him because he's going to come like a lion. You know what I mean? No one, God never said that the devil's stupid. Never said it. He's sneaky and smart. Sneaky and smart. And everyone's allowing it.
The daughter until the daughter got married and then her husband guided her.
Yep.
That's how it's always been. There's nothing wrong with that. And women come along and say, we don't need no men's guidance. We'll make our own decisions. Okay, that's fine. Well, let's look at the decisions you're making. Let's actually look at Western society, and let's look at these women without fathers, and let's look at these women who don't listen to no man. What decisions are they making? Are they good for them? Are they good for society? Are they good for anybody? I said something that got me in a lot of trouble a long time ago, and I'm going to say it again. I said,
please.
I'm not good at learning my lessons. What did I say about driving until you hit the tree? What did I say?
Okay, go ahead.
I said the world would...
Again, I wouldn't sit my son down and be like, here, this is someone to look up to a certain extent. Be like him. I would never do that, okay? But you got to love the man's energy. And even as he admits that, even if he does this for his own pride, which that's what I was looking for, is even if he does this because of his own pride, I mean, the dude is spitting mad knowledge, bro. And you gotta love it. You gotta love that energy. It seems like it excites him to tell people something that they need to hear. I love it. All right, you guys, that's gonna be it for part 1 of this interview with George Janko and Andrew Tate. If you guys haven't watched the entire interview or watched it yourselves, please make sure you guys check it out. I'm gonna put it down in the description down below. It's a super good interview. A lot of vulgarity, so just be warned, okay? But there's a lot of knowledge within this, and I think that I'm not going to say that this interview or anything like that is from God himself, but you'd be surprised where you can learn from so many different people Am I encouraging you to go listen to vulgar people speak? No, I am not. I just think that with George Janko being on his mission with Christ and trying to solve all his addictions and issues, and Andrew Tate going through what he's going through, and yet still being a very conservative figure, also while not denying faith. He was Christian at a certain point. Hopefully, we gain him back from Islam. Um, I just think that there's a lot of things that they speak about that make a lot of sense that people need to hear. So, anywho, guys, I'm going to break this down into a bunch of parts. This is going to be part number 1. This is, I believe, part 2 from George Janko's interview. So this is not going to be in any particular order. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel not to miss the other parts coming up, and make sure you comment down below what you guys thought of this initial part, or what you guys think about Andrew Tate and his perspective on things, or George Janko and his perspective on things. Again, there's more to come, and I will catch you guys on the next one. God bless. I'll see you guys soon.